Let's start with Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let's do some Radha jap. Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Sri Radha, Radha, Sri Radha. We are reading Bhagwat Geeta as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are starting chapter 7. Yes. Knowledge of the Absolute. Okay. Text 1. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Now hear, O son of Pratha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Let's read the purport. In the 7th chapter of Bhagwat Geeta, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, four kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna and four kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. The first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity, has been described as non-material spirit soul capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yoga. Yes, we learned the various yogas, right, including Ashtanga Yoga. At the end of the 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. Yes. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahma Jyoti or localized Paramatma realization is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth because it is partial. Okay, yes, we already know this. So, full and scientific knowledge is Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. Yes, and in in complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge beyond any doubts. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahma Jyoti and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. Yes. One should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjun, Tat Charnu, Tat Shrunu, Tat Shrunu, or hear from me. No one can be a greater authority than Krishna, and therefore, by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly or from a pure devotee of Krishna and not from a non devotee upstart, puffed up with academic education. Yes. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto as follows. I'm reading in quotes in English. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears about more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga serves, sorry, thus Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asansya, asansyam samagram, that is understanding of the absolute truth personality of Godhead. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2 from 17 to 21. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna. Let's move to text 2. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Let's read the purport. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both. And this is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above mentioned system of knowledge because Arjun is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the 4th chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes and the only object for meditation in all types of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. Wow. The Vedas Mundaka Upanishad 1.3 say, Kasmin u Bhagavo Vinyate Sarvam Idam Vinyatam Bhavatiti. Bhavatiti. Let's move to text 3. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Yes. Let's read the purport. There are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. Yes. The first 6 chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, and discrimination of the self from master. Yes. However, Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Krishna. Yes. So, in impersonal Brahman realization, that is Brahma Jyoti, like uh, attaching yourself to an effulgence, is more easy than understanding Krishna, right? So that's why many people take to this method. Krishna is the supreme person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sripad Shankaracharya, has admitted in his Gita commentary, writes, maybe it's not around. One second. Bye. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sripad Shankaracharya, has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, his followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Sanchita Ananda Sachida Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is not easy, as the non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Yes, just hold on. I need to get the charger. One second. You just pause. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. अगर easy है तो क्यों नहीं करते हैं भक्ति? क्यों नहीं करते हैं, right? If the path of bhakti is so easy, as the non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti may be easy. But when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Yes. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrata Sindhu 1.2.101, devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narad Ratra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yashoda or the charioteer of Arjun. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muyanti yat suryaha mam tu veda na kashchana. No one knows me as I am, the Lord says. And if one does know him, then sa mahatma su durlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is tattvataha. even though one is a great scholar or philosopher. Even if you are great in knowledge, everything, still it is very difficult to understand what Krishna is. Only the pure devotees can know something of the unconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna. His being the cause of all causes, his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said, in quotes, no one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service into him. Now, go change. Change. Sorry. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. It's Bhakti Rasamrata Sindhu 1.2.234. Let's move to text 4. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. We knew only 5 elements, and he has made 8 elements actually: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Yes, what a discovery. Yeah, let's read the purport. The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and his diverse energies. So they say that this body that we have is a manifestation of our own soul. Our own soul manifests this body and we get. So again, this body is again just an energy, right? An energy which has stemmed from the soul. What is soul made of? That also we will learn. This is very like in-depth, academically explained. The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and his diverse energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord in his different Purusha incarnations or expansions, as described in the Satvata Tantra. In quotes, for material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes 3 Vishnus. The first one is Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy known as Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodakshayayi Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. And third is Shirodakshayayi Vishnu, is diffused as the all-pervading super soul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma. Okay. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these 3 Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. This material world is a temporary manifestation of one one of the energies of the Lord. Right? It's a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these 3 Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. So entire universe, space, everything that is in this material world is created by these 3 Vishnus. Yes. These Purushas are called incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the signs of God assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities and that the living entities are the Purushas, the causes, controllers, and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagwat Gita, this aesthetic conclusion is false. So we have taken birth in the material world not to have fun, not to just waste life. Right? Correct? In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. The ingredients of the material manifestation are separated energies of the Lord. Even the Brahma Jyoti, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalist, is a spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. There are no spiritual diversities in the Brahma Jyoti as there are in the Vaikunt Lokas. And the impersonalist accepts this Brahma Jyoti as the ultimate eternal goal. Yes. ब्रह्म ज्योति में क्या डिफरेंस है कोई एक ज्योति है इट्स जस्ट वन लाइट एंड देन यू जस्ट एक्सेप्ट दैट लाइट एज योर डेस्टिनेशन बट दैट्स नॉट द केस इन वैकुंठ लोक राइट द परमात्मा manifestation is also a the Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary all-pervasive aspect of Shirodakshiyai Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world. Okay. It is not eternal in the spiritual world. Okay. Therefore, the factual absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is a complete energetic person and he possesses different separated and internal energies. Okay. Yes. I have to understand this why Paramatma is not an eternal manifestation. In the material energy, the principal manifestations are 8, as mentioned above. Correct? Out of these, the first 5 manifestations, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the 5 gigantic creations or the gross creations, within which the 5 sense objects are included. There are the manifestations of physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. And if you notice, based on all these material energies, we we in this world have created the healing of these material energies. And there are various ways of healing that has come up, like numerology, color therapy, Reiki, meditation. All these healing processes, yoga, are based on these 5 elements, right? Because one of these one of these processes are used to all of these processes actually are used to heal one of the material energy that we are going through and which is connected with our senses. Correct? So when we compare 5 senses, these 5 senses are actually 5 material energies. So you see these material energies manifest into these 5 senses, right? And even this body is a manifestation of our soul energy, correct? So it's all manifestation. Nothing is real. Yes. They are the manifestations of physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. Yeah. But the other 3 items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by the materialists. Philosophers who deal with the mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego, I am, it is mine, which constitute the basic principle of material existence, includes 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence refers to the total material creation called Mahatattva. Intelligence refers to the total material creation called Mahatattva. So intelligence contains all five elements: earth, fire, water, ether, sky. All, all five elements together is called intelligence. Therefore, from eight separated energies of the Lord are manifested the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankhya atheistic philosophy. They are originally offshoots from Krishna's energy and are separated from him, but atheistic Sankhya philosophers with a poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna as the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of external energy of Krishna as it is described in the Bhagwat Geeta. Wow. So five elements and then three. Okay, let's read ahead. Let's read text 5 and then we will close. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjun, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Let's read the purport. Here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature or superior energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, that is earth, gross means all tangible, earth, fire, air, water, ether, these are five gross elements, and three are uh, subtle elements like mind, intelligence, and false ego. They are intangible, right? So, both forms of material nature, namely gross and subtle, are products of the inferior energy. The living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes are the superior energies of the Supreme Lord. So basically, the soul is the superior energy of the body. And it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the superior energy, the living entity. The energies are always controlled by the energetic, and therefore the living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. Yes. This is so profound. We have no independent existence. We exist on the will of the God. They are never equally powerful as unintelligent men think. The distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.57.30 as follows. In quotes, O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entities are eternal and all-pervading like you, then they would not be under your control. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energies of your lordship, then they are at once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In that constitutional position, only one can, only can, sorry, in that constitutional position, only can they be controllers. Therefore, men with limited knowledge who advocate the monastic theory that God and living entities are equal in all respects are actually guided by a faulty and polluted opinion. Quotes close. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the only controller and all living entities are controlled by him. ऐसे बोलते हैं ना एक पत्ता भी नहीं हिलेगा भगवान की इच्छा से. These living entities are his superior energies. These living entities are his superior energy because the quality of their existence is one and the same with the Supreme. But they are never equal to the Lord in quantity of power. Yes. Krishna, when he took birth, he could hold Govardhan Parvat on his last finger. How? It is not possible. So, how can we be equal to him? Right? So, there is some potency that we don't have, correct? But we are like him. Yes. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energy, that is matter, and the superior energy, the living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of the matter upon the living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusory material energy, he attains the stage called mukti or liberation. The false ego, under the influence of the material illusion, thinks I am matter and material acquisitions are mine, right? We think this is my phone, this is my laptop, this is my house, this is my husband, this is my children. Everything is mine. Yeah. This actual position is realized when he is liberated from all material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects with God. Therefore, one may conclude that Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi energies of Krishna. And when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated. Let's end here with Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let's do some Radha jap. Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha. Hare Krishna.